So hey everyone, today I want to take a look at Killing Floor 2's Christmas update. This update brought a couple significant controller aiming improvements, and I want to cover them now. The first of which, one of the more major ones, is switch from a square dead zone to a circular dead zone. Killing Floor 2 originally used a square dead zone for camera as well as movement, but the camera's been switched to a circular dead zone. You can see both dead zones present on screen. The movement hasn't changed at all. I didn't originally request it to change, and it hasn't changed, but it's not very important. But this is kind of a good before and after of what the camera dead zone changed to. So you can see the movement is a square dead zone, and the new camera is a circular dead zone. This changes a few things. First is the dead zone's slightly smaller even at the same size, because square dead zones add a bit of extra dead zone because of the corners. So now instead of needing to move almost 30% in the corners, you now move 20% by default to exit the dead zone on any angle. Additionally, square dead zones had restricted diagonal movement around the axes, the size of the dead zone, but now you can see that subtle diagonals are registered right around the axes, and movements right around the dead zone where it was kind of most restricted. Angles like this, you can see, are now registered, where with the square dead zone, you would have been moving perfectly right. You can kind of see this with movement. It's a little more difficult, so you can see I'm moving right, but I'm moving right, and as soon as I break into this, I'll start moving diagonally. So left, left, and then diagonally, and then perfectly straight. So all your angles used to be just in these green regions with just perfectly cardinal movement in the blue regions for the camera, but now all your angles are accurate. Another change this makes is the acceleration threshold is slightly smaller. This is because using a square dead zone stretched this out, so the acceleration threshold went a little higher than before. I'll show the comparison on screen. If you remove any square dead zone, this is exactly what you'd expect to happen. Otherwise, the square dead zone kind of offset the acceleration zone anyway, so it would be off the graph. This is all entirely within it, so acceleration in general is more accurate. So if you move 50% this way, it's the same as 50% this way, same as 50% this way. Square dead zones would offset that a bit, so you have to move a little further in the diagonals before you start to see the same acceleration occur. Otherwise, the options are pretty self-explanatory. So these are the defaults. The dead zone's 20. If you lower that to 0, I'm not going to change the graph. You can see that any stick movement will create camera movement. And if you increase it to your max, it's now 30%, so you move the stick 30% before you start seeing any camera movement occur. Now, match the graph. The acceleration jump, you can now control this if you want more of it. You can do that to get more of it, and I'll define the threshold here. You can see that it stops at about 40%, and otherwise it's perfectly circular, about 98%. And if you don't like it, you can now disable it by setting it to 0. So you see there's no jump, and you just rely on whatever sensitivity you're playing at. So I had been requesting these for quite a while, and I'm really happy to see these things finally added. However, what I didn't expect was there to be any backlash with this change, specifically the dead zone change. This is apparently bothered quite a few people in the forums. Probably because if they're used to, aiming like this, um, or making subtle adjustments that ended up being converted into perfect cardinal movement, that would be an adjustment. And some players who maybe stick leaned over here but wouldn't see drift because the square dead zone extended the dead zone to that region are now drifting. Um, this would be a change for that. Personally, of course, I think this is a huge improvement, but I didn't expect some players to take issue with this. To address that, it would be nice if Tripwire could go in and just add a square dead zone option for players who prefer using that over this new circular dead zone. Toggle would be good, or a separate square circular dead zone slider. I think a toggle would probably be easier for most players. Um, I mean, if they're going to make any additional aiming changes, maybe it'd be nice to also get like a vertical sensitivity slider, and maybe even an acceleration curve slider would be incredible. But most of the complaints were just from the dead zone size, and adding an option to go back to a square dead zone would be good for the players who have an issue with the change to a circular dead zone. But otherwise, that changes it. Hopefully, this is I showed this pretty well enough. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.